hold on, bro. Cause look, I've been hearing a lot of trends. A lot of this and that. Jordan not this. Jordan playing against plumbers and mechanics and shit. Meanwhile, LeBron playing superheroes. This is what I'm hearing, bro. All because of this video right here. I want to see for myself because I don't know what y'all talking about. We're done with the 90s. What's the whole trend about? You know what I'm saying? But anyway, man, what's good, YouTube? It's the Rose. You already know what it is. And I'm back with another reaction video. And we done with the 90s. You feel me? If you are new to this channel, hit that subscribe and that notification bell. Because I'm dropping these bangers for y'all, you feel me? So without further ado, we gonna see what you know what I'm saying? What are you talking about? We done with the 90s. Come on, bro. I don't know, man. Personally, 90s still better.
We are in the midst.
In my opinion, bro. The league is soft. How you believe that the 90s is
age-old debate of past versus present has reached critical mass.
And as my fantasy draft that went off.
A revolution is taking place and we're losing good men. Old school versus new school. Back in the day versus modern day. A story as old as time itself. I tried to ignore this bloodbath, but just when I thought things couldn't get any worse, it all got so much worse.
We done with the 90s.
Film of NBA games from the 80s and 90s coming to light, showing that the good old days were in fact not that good. This whole time, the punishing defense of legend was actually just a bunch of LEDs in my room in the paint looking for someone to hack. Shots clanking off the backboard, players running around aimlessly, wreaking havoc. And worst of all, Michael Jeffrey Jordan, the supposed greatest basketball player of all time,
oh my goodness,
didn't even have a left hand.
Jordan had a left hand. Hold on, wait, what?
Have we been lied to about
Jordan do have a left hand? What are you talking about? Who made this, bro? Who made this narrative up? Bro, we all know Jordan got a left hand. I'm pretty sure a lot of them got a, well.
Basketball in the 80s and 90s? Are we really done with that era of hoops? Or are we being deceived by lowlights, misinformation, and cherry-picked clips? Well,
so we're not going to forget Rudy Gobert be averaging 10 air balls a game, right? All right. And I'm a youngin' saying this. Come on. I just know my basketball. That's it.
By SeatGeek.
We ain't doing no sponsor. No disrespect to you. We came for the evidence of the 90s, man. We know 90s better. We just want to make up the new generational excuse.
10% off.
That's what it is.
Tickets on SeatGeek. Whether you're new to the app or you've been using it for years like me, code Jimmy10 is good for 10% off any seating map. Order 5 simple.
All right, here you go. Damn. Fuck.
We done with the 90s.
We
5
done.
simple words that have completely divided fans of the NBA. I've seen well thought out video essays, hard-hitting analysis, testimonies from past and present players talking about their experience in the league and how it's changed over the years. And none of those things managed to do what these 5 simple words have done in just a week. Soon enough, the clips came rolling in of players from that era dribbling off their feet, throwing up air balls, and putting together moves that you might see at your local high school's JV game. So, for whatever it's worth, here is my long-winded take on this whole discussion.
I think this better. There you go. Yeah, that's better. Thank God. I'm tired of that fucking
I want to begin by saying what this discourse has taught me more than anything else is that NBA fans today never actually took the time to go back and watch games of the past. Brothers, I have been harping on this for years, begging for fans of the game, whether you are new or have been watching for years, to just go back and watch full games, not highlights,
I don't see no difference.
Full-length games of eras from the past. And after seeing this
discussion, look at that windmill in the game, bro. We see that now.
It's clear to me that most people
not underlegs though, but that's one different thing.
Have this sort of awakening as they're watching films of these old games, as if the footage was buried or lost, and it's finally being unearthed for the world to see. It's been right here on YouTube for the past 15 years. You mean to tell me the same fans who chime in with a full-blown thesis on the GOAT debate never spared the time to even watch the games they were referring to? Okay. I guess that does explain a lot. Now, I'd like to think I'm somewhere in the middle on this whole discussion. I have said on multiple occasions that players in today's NBA are simply more skilled than players of the past, which has resulted in bigger stat lines and higher point totals than ever before. It's not—
and they're more soft, pause. Pause. Wait. Whoa. All right.
The defense that has gotten worse, it's the offense that has gotten better. You know, that whole spiel. But I also have an appreciation for the greats that came before.
Nah, Jordan been dunking on everybody.
Players of past eras were. In fact,
I think Jordan was
like
us.
I'm hallucinating seeing this
he was the
90s
first us.
basketball slander campaign unfold in front of my eyes. It feels like everyone's perception on the age-old debate changed literally overnight.
I forgot Dominique
I know
too.
that's
Him
not
and
the case,
bro.
but after seeing all of this play out, it
So
sure
like a few
feels that
players
way.
to change
But
the
today,
game.
I'm not just gonna show you some cherry-picked clips
my
or unhinged
goodness.
this narrative even
Oh
further.
my
I'm gonna show
goodness.
you real film, real data, and proof of how we might actually be done with the 80s and 90s. And of course, if Michael Jordan really had no left hand. Spoiler, he did.
Exactly. Come on now. Stop playing. Stop playing, bruh. We knew he have a left hand,
Now,
bro.
I have been
Y'all
an
just hating.
advocate for the modern players are better than players of the past movement for quite some time now. In fact, as crazy as it is for younger fans to say Michael Jordan was trash, it's just as absurd for older fans to say the game hasn't evolved and gotten better over the last 30 years. Because that's all this debate really is. Young fans versus old fans, or fans that watched this versus fans that are watching this. But objectively, players today are much better than they were in the 80s and even the 90s. Specifically, the lower end of the talent pool in the NBA today is vastly better than it was in the past. I think great players would be great in any era, but with the spacing, the shot making, the emphasis on offense as opposed to defense has made the depth across the NBA today just way ahead of where it was in the 80s and the 90s.
All right, this is where I gotta stop him on. Everything he's saying is 100% correct. Now, I do have an argument, though. And I'm going to start with this. The rule book. Now, the rule book from back then was like WWE. You in a street fight. Today, if you even cough on someone, sneeze, tie somebody's shoe, being nice on the court, you get attacked. If your name is Draymond Green, you're getting out the game regardless. Like 10, you know what I'm saying? 10 seconds in the game. Come on, man. That's one thing that's going to be different about the whole situation with the 90s and the, you know what I'm saying? But
they
don't want to talk about that. They want to talk about skills. What did he just do? Hold on. What bro just do? What did he just do?
90s. There was, without exaggeration, guys in the NBA throughout the 80s and 90s that were on NBA rosters just to accumulate fouls and sit in the paint. Some of these players
was
were
mad contact,
offensively
though.
inept, and that was okay because their role was not to create offense. But in today's NBA, where offense reigns supreme, there is no room for these players. Now, you could and should go back and watch film of games, not highlights, from this era and see just how limited the skill sets of some of these players were. The shot making, for the most part, was limited to set jumpers, slashers coming downhill for layups, and big men trying to muscle their way to a bucket down low in the midst of what appears to be a wrestling match. Catch a player off guard.
Did I say WWE?
The double team, and they immediately pick up their dribble. Simple things like guards turning their back to the basket 20 feet out instead of creating space off the dribble. Even players looking
It's for
down
a reason,
at the ball
though.
while trying to get out on a fast break.
Yeah,
was
that's how you
very
know he a
common
plumber.
in this era. And these aren't lowlights or cherry-picked
Hey.
incidences. This is just what the game looked like 35 years ago. But even without film, nearly every metric suggests modern players are
There's a
more
lot
capable
more
of
stuff
players
to
in the
this, bro.
past.
Like,
Free
it
throw
ain't even
percentage
just
was worse,
the
three-point
statistics, bro.
percentage
It's
was
the
worse,
technology
turnover
involved in
percentage
this
was
too.
higher. They used to shoot more free throws, but still ended up with far less points. Now, this is not to say that this era of hoops was trash. That's just disingenuous and flat out wrong. These were the best players in the world at the time. It was just simply not as good as what it is today. But maybe there's another layer to this that needs to be factored in to really understand why these players were not as skilled.
Boy, I ain't gonna lie. That's what I'm talking about, bro. They would have, bro. Do it in today's era. Touch the ref in the ass with a basketball. You getting the fuck out of there. You gonna be like, like, come on, man. They know, bro.
As
They
the
know,
players
bro.
of today.
Bro, even hit the ball out of ref hand, bro. Look. See? Come on, bro. They ain't say no ejection
now,
or
despite
nothing.
this being a very relevant topic for years, the idea of rule changes and how these changes have affected the game still remain a mystery to some. Players were a product of their era and the rules of their era. The first step to discovering greats of the past is to watch film of them play. The next step is to gather and understand the context of the film you are watching. When you see a 6'9" Magic Johnson go flying down the court with what looks like kind of a stiff dribble, you may think the man has no bag. But my friends, Magic Johnson did have a bag. But
that man was, bro, telling
only
you the
allowed him to
pioneer
reach so
passes,
far
man.
into it before he got called for
He
every
walks so y'all
violation
can
of the
just
rule.
run and do whatever,
Consider
bro.
the fact that any move where your
Don't
hand
forget
wasn't
Pistol Pete,
completely on
too.
top of the basketball was considered a carry. No zero steps, no gather steps. You get 2 steps, and anything more was called a travel. No backward shuffles to create separation. No lunging into players to draw easy fouls. Here's a clip of Danny Ainge hitting Kevin McHale with a hezzy.
Wait, wasn't Pistol
in the
Pete doing all the
mid-80s,
fancy stuff
and
first?
the
I think
man
it
thinks
was.
He just witnessed witchcraft.
It's either him or somebody else that was doing it first.
Some of the most competitive competition began.
Double dribble. Double dribble. He did too.
Here's some more clips of players getting called for travels and carries, doing moves that are very typical and allowed in 2024.
Telling you the rule
90%
book,
of the
bro.
moves you see today, the very method
The gather
most
step
players
is
generate
involved
their
now.
offense would be called for some sort of violation 40 or 30 or even 20 years ago. And this isn't just some cop-out or excuse as to why these players of the past weren't doing this stuff. The rule changes are real, documented pieces of NBA history.
The gather
You can
step,
literally
bruh.
look them up. The game got looser, players grew up and shaped their game around these looser rules, and now they have free reign to let their basketball bag run wild.
Exactly.
But that's kind of the point. Players of the past didn't grow up practicing 25-footers. They didn't work on a dozen moves to create separation. They played in offensive systems that focused on the team, the collective.
It
Schemes
takes
and
players
sets
to
that resembled
evolve,
something
bro.
closer
I'm
to
telling you.
college basketball,
You gotta
where
be a
ISO
couple people in the
possessions were
league just
few
to
and far in
some rules
between,
can change
so
up.
they never developed an arsenal to counter these situations.
He's one of the reasons,
rules of
too.
the time limited their game,
Larry
which
Magic
resulted in
Bird.
them having a
I
more
said Larry
limited
Magic
skill
Bird.
set than players today.
Larry Magic
If Larry Bird grew
and
up
Jordan,
with a
they
three-point line,
one of the
he
problems.
might have been the greatest
Damn.
long-range shooter ever, but he didn't. And as a result, he didn't shoot a lot of threes, and he wasn't as efficient as the best shooters today. We can sit here and assume these players of the past might be as capable as players today if they were playing under the same rules and conditions, but they didn't. And I don't think we should assume that. The fact is, they played in a different time, and they became a product of that time. But that's not to say the game was trash back then, or that the superstars of these eras couldn't compete in today's league.
Tell you, they the 3 right there, bro. They them 3 people
Now,
that
as
changed the
time goes
game,
by,
bro.
I think it's easy to forget just how long ago 1980 was. 44 years ago, if my math is correct, which is in fact a very long time ago. In 1985, Magic Johnson won an NBA title, Larry Bird won the league MVP, and Michael Jordan won Rookie of the Year. That was 39 years ago from today, which is the same exact
I ain't gonna
amount of
lie.
time that
I
has
don't think
passed
it's
from
gonna be
that
any better rookie than
1985
Jordan, though.
season
I'm
to
gonna
the
just
year
debate
the
with that,
NBA
though.
was
But
founded in 1946. Look at these clips. Do you think these players could compete with the likes of Bird, Magic, and Jordan? Let me answer that for you. No. But
Hell
take
no.
the best players of
That's
the
a good lay,
80s
though.
and 90s, and could they compete in today's league? Absolutely. Give these guys some credit. Watching this today is the equivalent of watching this in the 80s. And yet this product is vastly closer to the basketball we see today than this product was to what fans were witnessing in the 80s. In fact, we can use different superstars as
Oh
sort
my
of a
goodness.
cross-generational measuring stick to see just how stiff the competition has been over the years. Larry and Magic played Michael, who played Kobe, who played LeBron, who has played the players of today. And nowhere down this timeline was there any real jump or fall off in production or level of competition from one era to the next. Each era had their stars. Those stars crossed paths with stars of other eras, and no one era was clear-cut ahead of the other. If the 80s were so bad, then why did players of the 90s have to wait for those guys to get old and retire to have a shot at winning? And if the 90s were so bad, then why did players of the 2000s not win until those guys retired? We don't need to assume that adjacent eras could compete with one another because we actually saw it. MJ struggled with some of the guys that came before him. Shaq struggled against Hakeem and Kobe struggled against MJ. LeBron struggled against guys like Duncan and Dirk. And players
and Kobe! He formed a Miami team because of Kobe. Let's not forget that. Y'all gonna stop making Bron duck from Kobe, man. You know why he formed that Miami Heat team. Because that guy right here, this guy right here, he's the reason.
Have struggled to get past some of the older players in the league who are a product of the previous era.
He couldn't even
now,
get past Curry until, you know what I'm saying? Well, KD, yeah. KD was mad off of that 2000 Bron's first ring, so it's all good.
At a certain point, the knowledge and wisdom that comes from actually witnessing decades of NBA history, like some older fans have, becomes skewed and watered down by nostalgia and a generational bias. Superstars are superstars because their game transcends the era they played in, but they also played in an inferior league. These two ideas are not mutually exclusive, and although generational talents of the past would do just fine today, this same logic does not apply to the vast majority of the league throughout the 80s and
Chuck.
90s.
Nigga Charles Barkley got up though, I ain't gonna lie. When did the NBA become not trash? Nigga, what? Hey, Carl will get shitted on by Shaq. They had to change the whole hoop because of him, bro. Come on now.
So if the 80s were inferior to
only
today's
Carl would
league
get over
and
him
the
as a
90s
jumper,
were
that's
inferior
it.
as well, when did the
We talking
NBA
about
become
skills here.
not trash?
Not dominance.
Well, it depends on how you look at it. Ironically, I think there's a pretty clear distinction to the skill set of players before Michael Jordan hit his peak and after. For example, the early 90s and late 90s, although being in the same decade, were massively different in play style and skill set.
Oh!
The fact that Magic Johnson was still in his prime
T-Mac
in the
was
early
crazy.
90s, and Allen Iverson was entering his prime in the late 90s. In less than 10 years, basketball became a massively different game. By the late 90s, the players who grew up watching Jordan fly through the air and slice up defenses were in the league and were reshaping the role that perimeter players played. Guys like Kobe Bryant, Allen Iverson, Ray Allen, Stephon Marbury, Grant Hill, Tracy McGrady, Vince Carter. All these guys came into the league around the same time and were products of what they saw MJ do throughout his career.
I'm telling y'all, bro,
that more closely resembles what we see today than it
Larry
did to the
Magic
skill
and
sets
Jordan
of
are the
players of
ones.
the 80s and
It comes from them.
This is where
and then
I
it
think
goes
most
to the
fans
next,
might make the
and then to
distinction
the
of when
next,
league really took a
and then
leap,
to the
not
next,
in
and then to the
competitiveness,
next.
but
Like,
rather
bruh,
play style. You can go back and watch these guys play, and it's not too
Jesus.
different than watching an NBA game today. Or you can point to the shift in play style that happened in the late 2010s, after Steph Curry redefined what makes a great championship caliber player, and the league adjusted to this new three-point heavy, perimeter-focused style of basketball. Similar to Jordan, the kids who watched what Steph was doing in the mid-2010s emulated that style of play, tailored their games to it,
They
and
just had
are now
enough.
in the league doing things that only Steph could do a decade
Bill
ago.
was killing them.
So if we're done with the 80s and 90s, where can we look back and no longer apply this era tax on these players? I think most fans would agree that the turn of the century is where the modern era of hyper-skilled players began. You can say objectively that this era was not trash, and most players of this generation would do just fine in today's
That's a
league.
nice move.
But if that is the case,
oh
then
goodness,
modern NBA fans are holding a ticking time bomb, and they might not even know it.
bro, he a cyborg. That don't count, bro. That don't count. All right, why y'all putting this man? Like, see, this is what I'm talking about, bro. We got androids in the game now. I don't care what y'all say.
And a new generation of NBA fans claim our favorite players, the guys we grew up watching, are not as good as the players of the future. What will you have to say? Right now, there is no one in the world who can shoot like Steph Curry. But inevitably, there will be. And eventually, there will be many players who can shoot like him. His records will fall, his percentages won't look as good through the lens of 2040, and although his legacy will be cemented, his actual game will be put into question. And based on the arguments I'm hearing today on why past players were trash, we will have nothing to say that will change their minds. We know that Curry was the first to do what he's doing. He is a pioneer
just like any
of
other
the
player
modern
back
NBA.
then. They were the
have
first.
Context to back up our
It's just
claims.
evolution.
But if we aren't willing to hear older fans out today, what makes us think younger fans will hear us out in the future? Mark my words. There will be a day when young fans will go back, watch film of LeBron, and say he couldn't compete with players of the future. In fact, it's already happening. Fans saying he has no bag. Younger players putting up bigger numbers than he ever did. Skill sets a bit deeper with games that look more polished. It's all fun and games now to crack jokes about past eras. But our day will come too, and it ain't gonna be pretty. But Giannis could only run and dunk. Your era was trash. Y'all had a dude who couldn't get 2 feet off the ground running the whole league. You can scramble to pull up clips and show the numbers, but their minds will already be made up. This is why I think it is so important to have genuine, thought-out discourse about the game if you're truly a fan of it.
Right.
But to all of the older fans out there, you kinda started this whole thing. For years, we heard y'all badmouth modern players, saying the league is soft, players today couldn't compete back then. Back in my day, real men played the game. Y'all cannot be mad that some fans are done with the 80s and 90s when y'all never even gave modern basketball a chance. Sure, a lot of fans never took the time to go back and watch the greats of the past, but let's be honest for a second. Older fans don't watch games today. They catch a stray clip on Facebook of LeBron flopping, and like an echo chamber of disgruntled old men, they just start firing away in the comments, agreeing with one another. Y'all asked for this. I've been watching the NBA since the mid-2000s. Kobe, D-Wade, McGrady, Iverson, Shaq, Nash, those were my guys. But I can acknowledge those greats and say they were incredible while also acknowledging that that version of the NBA as a whole was not as refined or as good as it is today. Now, will I be able to
Then
make...
why are they killing? No, I ain't gonna say. You just said LeBron, specifically Bron, who is in the 2000s era, is dominating still to this day. How, bruh? Cause the league's soft, bro. The rules change to the point anybody can score, bro. Cause there's no hand checking and shit like that going on no more, bro. See, that's why Bron's still dropping.
that distinction in 20 years when some snot-nosed brat tells me my glorious king was trash? I'm not so sure.
Not to mention, Jordan was dropping the same numbers as LeBron when that nigga was on the Wizards. In the 2000s era, by the way. The beginning, too.
Now, it's time to once and for all take a real close look at this accusation that Michael Jordan did not have a left hand. I felt like I was having a bad dream when I first saw this claim, but unfortunately, I was not. I feel like no one actually believes this. This is just some high-level trolling. But in an effort to stop this nonsense from spreading any further, I have no choice but to take these accusations seriously. So I selected 8 random games ranging from Michael Jordan's rookie season all the way up to the mid-90s, and play by play gathered all of his possessions throughout these games, charted when he went to his right, when he went to his left, and what those possessions resulted in. And here is what I found. Jordan made a move with his left hand or his right hand 227 times. Of those 227 moves, 121 of them were with his right hand and 106 of them were with his left hand. Of the 121 right-handed moves, he passed up or got fouled on 54 of them, so I didn't bother charting those. 65 of these moves resulted in a shot, in which he made 63% of them and only turned the ball over 2 times. Now, moves that he made with his left hand resulted in a pass or him getting fouled 45 times, while 55 of these left-handed moves ended up in a shot, in which he made 51%, and 6 moves resulted in a turnover. So based on this data, Jordan was definitely more comfortable going right, especially near the rim and even on mid-range jumpers. He struggled a bit in comparison to his right whenever he pulled up off of a left-handed dribble. But overall, Jordan went to his left 47% of the time, and although it was his weaker hand, he was still above league average even while going to his left.
Yeah, that's impressive.
8 games in 350 minutes of basketball is a relatively small sample size. So I looked into it further and found this. A detailed breakdown of Michael Jordan's shot chart and shot tendencies in 3 seasons from 1990 to 1992. 126 games and over 4,800 minutes in total, tracking exactly what Michael did on the court for 3 seasons. And here's what the data shows. In total, Michael made 1,074 moves in isolation, going either to his right or to his left hand. 48% of those moves were with his right hand, and 52% of those moves were with his left hand. When going to the right, Michael shot 61.7% on 410 shots with 15 turnovers, resulting in 1.38 points per possession. When going to his left, Michael shot 61.3% on 421 shots with 36 turnovers, resulting in 1.31 points per possession. So even with a much larger sample size, Michael not only had a left hand, he went to it just as often as he went to his right and was nearly as proficient with his left as he was with his right. Now, for some context, throughout this 3-year span, Michael made on average 4.4 left-handed isolation moves, or in this case, isolation possessions, that resulted in 1.31 points per possession.
Oh my goodness.
Now, here are some prolific scores from this season and their overall tendencies and efficiency in isolation. Keep in mind, this data includes both right-handed and left-handed moves from these players. And now here is Michael Jordan, with just his left hand. So, yeah. I'd say contrary to what has now become popular belief, Michael Jordan had a left hand. And I cannot believe we had to dig into the data to come to this conclusion.
It shouldn't even be a discussion, man. Bro, like, why would you... Who came up with that scenario, bro? Like, who thought that narrative was, like, the best idea? You knew he had a left hand. Y'all just want to be trollers.
I think the overall idea that the 80s and 90s were a far less skilled time in the NBA compared to today is probably fair. I mean, you'd be crazy to think the game hasn't evolved in 4 decades. But to say the league was trash back then is just wrong. I think more than anything, it's the style of play and the way basketball games would unfold back then that really throws some fans off when they go to watch film of these old games. It's like looking at a box score from the
Kyrie did on y'all
thinking everyone
couple days ago
because the games finished with final scores in the 80s. But the players weren't bad, it was just a different game back then. It was slower, more methodical, more team and scheme-based than it is today. And similarly, I think you could say the 80s and 90s had its fair share of bad basketball. But that doesn't mean all the players were bad, especially the superstars of those eras. That was just the state of the game they were playing in. I think some older fans have a skewed perception of how good the game was back then, but I also think they just genuinely liked that style of ball regardless of the evolution of the league. In 20 years, there could be a dozen players around the league that shoot like Steph Curry, but I doubt we will hold the same appreciation and affinity for those players as we did to the guy who pioneered this style of play and did it during the good old days. In the 90s, no one looked back at how the league was in the 60s claiming it was better. And so realistically, we shouldn't be looking back at the 80s and 90s claiming the league was superior than it is today, or even just as good for that matter. A lot of these ideas that favor modern basketball are becoming more mainstream as fans dive deeper into these topics and add context to narratives that have been floating around for decades. But I think this push to be done with the 80s and 90s is a bit overkill. We want to add context and nuance and knowledge to these discussions.
Hakeem was ahead of his time, bro.
Decades from it altogether. Sadly, I don't think any of this has or will change anyone's mind. This revolt against old school ball was either confirmation of what you already thought, or this entire discussion is just blasphemy to you. Are we done with the 80s and 90s? Maybe, but for the sake of the game and the greats that paved the way, I sure hope not.
Tough. That is crazy. Yeah, that's real crazy. I mean, it's some good points here and there. You know what I'm saying? But other than that, bruh, all I gotta say is, bruh, the league's still soft. I can care less what you say. Suck my dick. I don't care. The league is soft now. You're out of here. You know what I'm saying, bruh? Come on, man. Do it back then. They be like, oh, it ain't nothing. It ain't nothing. You got punched? Okay. Let's keep going. Like, they don't care, bruh. Like, bruh, and then the pay on top of that, bruh. I think that's why, bruh. I think that's why. I think the money got in the way. I think that's what it is. The money got in the way, so it's making people look more less competitive. But I don't know. It's just it's my opinion, bro. I don't really know for real. Other than the rule book change. So yeah, that's all I know. But yeah, hope y'all enjoyed this video. Leave a like, comment, subscribe if you're new to this channel. Stay tuned for more videos. It's the Rose, and I'm out, man.